Today, we're heading to the Isle of Arran, a breathtaking corner of Scotland that's facing a very modern problem. How do you protect a place that everyone loves, maybe a little too much? Arran has this famous nickname, Scotland in miniature. And you know what? It's not just some catchy marketing slogan. That name has stuck for a reason, because it perfectly captures the island's incredible diversity, all packed into one surprisingly small area. So, to really get a grip on Arran's challenges, we've got to start with the land itself. Let's dig into what gives it that famous nickname. The island is literally split in two. Imagine drawing a line right across the middle. The northern half is dominated by these rugged, dramatic granite mountains. Is that classic Scottish Highland scenery. But then you travel south, and the landscape completely transforms into these gentler, rolling lowlands. This stark contrast is the absolute key to its miniature identity. And that mountainous north? That's where you'll find Goat Fell, the island's highest peak, towering at 874 meters. For anyone who makes that climb, the reward is just, wow. An absolutely spectacular view that on a clear day stretches all the way to the mainland and even Northern Ireland. But how did this landscape get so dramatic in the first place? Well, the answer is ice. We're talking massive glaciers during the last ice age that just scoured the island, carving out the sharp ridges and deep valleys we see today. The immense power of that ice is written all over Arran's geology. And here's a perfect example of what that ice left behind, an arrate. It's basically this knife-edge ridge of rock that's formed when two glaciers grind away at opposite sides of a mountain. Arran's famous HI Ridge is a textbook example, and it provides a thrilling and very challenging route for experienced mountaineers. And it wasn't just sharp ridges the glaciers left us. They also carved out these classic, beautiful, U-shaped valleys, like Glen Rosa. When you're walking through these glens, you're literally walking in the path of an ancient glacier. And it's here that you can find stunning waterfalls and spot some of Scotland's most iconic wildlife, like majestic red deer and soaring golden eagles. Okay, so with a landscape this incredible, it is no surprise that people want to see it for themselves, right? Which brings us to our next section, the tourist boom. Take a look at this number, 400,000. Every single year, that's how many people visit the Isle of Arran. Now let that sink in for a second, because the island's permanent population is just over 4,500. This huge influx of visitors completely shapes life on the island. And for the most part, that impact is the economic lifeblood of the community. Tourism supports pretty much everything, from the hotels and restaurants to all the outdoor adventure companies. It's what keeps local gems like the famous distillery and cheese shop not just afloat, but really thriving. But, this isn't just about money. It's about people. See, in a lot of rural communities, young people often tend to leave for work, which can lead to an aging population. Tourism on Arran provides those crucial jobs that encourage people to stay or even move to the island, keeping the whole community vibrant and balanced. But, and there is a but, this success story has a flip side. All those visitors, all those feet on the ground, well, it all comes at a cost. Let's take a look at how the island is now under some serious pressure. It's the classic double-edged sword, isn't it? On one side, tourism is this absolute economic lifeline. But on the other, it's creating some major environmental strain. And this is the balancing act that Arran has to manage, day in and day out. So what does that strain actually look like on the ground? Well, you've got this sheer number of walkers, and when they stray from established paths, it causes serious problems. It leads to soil erosion on the steep mountain slopes, and all that delicate vegetation gets trampled. This is a huge deal because Arran is home to some incredibly fragile species, like the Arran whitebeam, a tree you literally cannot find anywhere else on Earth. And then there's a hidden cost, a very human one. More visitors out in the mountains inevitably means more people getting lost or injured. And that puts this immense strain on the island's mountain rescue teams, who, by the way, are all volunteers, on call 24/7 to keep people safe. So, faced with all this pressure, what is the community actually doing about it? Let's dive in and see how they're working to protect the very thing that draws everyone there in the first place. It's actually a really practical, smart approach. You have these conservation projects that are tackling the problem head-on. First, they figure out the worst erosion hotspots. Then, they come in and build these really durable stone steps and clearly mark out the pathways. The idea isn't to block people out, it's about managing the flow. And the thinking behind this is really simple but super effective. You concentrate the foot traffic onto these hardened paths. By guiding people along one set route, all that fragile vegetation around it finally gets a chance to breathe and recover, making sure the landscape is preserved for future generations. Okay, so this brings us to our final takeaway, because the story of Arran, it isn't just about one beautiful Scottish island. It's about a challenge that we're seeing all over the world. When you boil it all down, Arran is a perfect microcosm of this huge global issue. How do you balance the economic needs of a community that really depends on tourism with the absolute necessity of protecting the natural environment that makes it so special to begin with? It's a tough, ongoing balancing act, and there are no easy answers. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The community on Arran is doing its part, for sure, but this is a shared responsibility. It kind of forces us all to ask ourselves, the next time we visit one of these cherished landscapes, what's our role in this? How can we be responsible visitors and make sure these beautiful places are still here for everyone forever?